Hi everyone, Chris Anderson, Mount Comfort RV. Hope everyone's doing well today. Well, we're back with another video on demand. So today's winner was the Ventana, the 2023 Newmar Ventana, the 4328, which is a new floor plan for the Ventana. It was actually a product though, this floor plan did exist in Dutch Star, and I think it went away for a year, and now they've moved it to Ventana, if I'm not mistaken. So that's what we're going to review today. But before we do that, let's get to the next video on demand, your choices for that. Now, I have noticed the same trend that some of you probably have. I know there's people out there wanting to see some gas motor homes, and they see the same thing that we do, is that they get some votes, but the high-end diesels always seem to win out in the end. So we're going to put a stop to that. Our next three choices for video on demand, there'll be a poll, or you can just put it in the comments below on our YouTube video here. But our next three choices are as follows. The 2023 Baystar Sport 3225, the 2023 Baystar 3016, that's a bunk bed model, and the 2023 Baystar Sport 2813. So again, that's the 23 Baystar Sport 2813, the 23 Baystar 3616, and lastly, the 23 Baystar Sport 3225. I have all of those in stock, and you can vote and you will get a video. I'll bet we get a gas motorhome winner this time, since all three of those choices are gas motorhomes. So we're going to get the lovers of gas motorhomes taken care of on this one. All right, so let's get to the 4328 Ventana. First of all, we're coming to you on a Freightliner chassis, as you can see right here by the steering wheel. Freightliner chassis has a beautiful digital dash, of course, and we'll just fire that up. We don't always do that, but let's do that today. It's amazing, if you haven't been in a diesel pusher or spent much time in one, you really don't even hear the engine cranking or anything. You feel it a little bit, but it's 40 feet behind you, 43 feet behind you, so you really don't even hear it. You can see the beautiful display there. One of the things that it was different the last couple of years, and people kind of complained about it. We used to have a knob for the comfort drive, and it was right here on the dash, and you could dial it up and down. And when they went to the digital dash, they wanted to have less buttons overall in the dashboard area. So what they did was they incorporated that into some of your digital controls that are controllable right here through your steering wheel. This little control center over here with your left thumb really works about like a computer mouse. You have up and down to scroll through your choices. You have back to go back a menu, and you have your home screen, and you have OK, which is like a left click on a mouse. So you can control a lot of different things, and a lot of the way your dash is set up right there with your left thumb, and never taking your hand off the wheel, and just glancing down at your digital dash. So this is what we're going to be seeing when we go down the road. You'll have your digital dash right there. Of course, you have your digital miles per hour in the middle. You have on the left-hand side there your tachometer, on the right-hand side your speedometer. But if at any point you want to get to that comfort drive menu quickly and easily, you just hit this favorites button, and it's going to bring it right up on the center of the screen there, and then you use your arrows to dial it up and down for more or less comfort drive. So that's a nice, easy way to get to that. Now, what is comfort drive? Okay, first of all, if you're not familiar with the Newmar comfort drive, you're probably going to want to do a little bit of research on it, because it's really something that separates Newmar from the other brands of motorhomes out there. All diesel pushers drive pretty well. This drives better. Talk is cheap. I always encourage people, you don't believe me, come drive it. And I hope you already own a diesel pusher, because if you do, when you sit behind one with comfort drive on it, you're going to see an immediate difference. Basically, I'll give you the real quick synopsis of it, but we've done videos dedicated to comfort drive. So if you just go to our YouTube page and type in comfort drive, Mount Comfort RV, you're gonna find our videos dedicated to that. But comfort drive, and the quick answer is, it's a computer controlled steering servo. So it's like power steering for power steering. It takes all the effort out of the wheel. It's super easy to turn the wheel. I always demonstrate this when we're out driving by turning it with my pinky finger. You can't do that with a regular diesel pusher. The second thing it does is it always goes back to zero, or it always goes back to straight ahead on its own. So when you're negotiating in a campground and getting lined up with that spot you're going to back into, and somebody says, okay, now just straight back, and you're sitting in the driver's seat and you're wondering, did I go around 3 times or 4? You don't know. You can't see your wheels, so straightening your wheels actually isn't the easiest thing. So on a Newmar it is, let go. Literally just take your hands off the wheel, and even at a dead stop, the steering wheel will return back to straight ahead, and then you just back into your spot. Believe me, all the guys, when we're rearranging coaches here, we put them in some tight spots. All the guys prefer to drive the Newmars around because they're the easiest ones to park. And lastly, the computer controlled part of it is it will detect when you're at speed, and instead of the wheel being straight like this, you're going down the road and you've got the wheel cocked like this. It realizes you're either on a road that's got a heavy crown to it, or more than likely you're fighting the wind. You know, you're steering into the wind there. So it will detect that, and it actually fixes that for you and starts fighting the wind for you. It's a beautiful system. It's been around since 2007, and anybody that owns a Newmar diesel will sing the praises of comfort drive. So that's the real quick synopsis of that. Of course, this coach does have up in the front here, we're going to have our equalizer, fully hydraulic, fully automatic leveling system. We have control for our tag axle and our air horn, power and heated mirrors over here, and our battery switch and dome light. Our wiper controls are on the stalk over here, very automotive there. We talked about this kind of being like a computer mouse. Over here we have controls for our cruise control and answering our phone. And by the way, one of the other nice parts with the digital dash is when somebody's calling in, this has the built-in microphone right here, very automotive-like, not some aftermarket through the radio. And whoever's calling you, they're going to blink up right here in the middle of the screen. Their number's going to come up. Again, they're making this more and more integrated. Much more automotive feel to it. You know, in years past, this has been much more like a sum of all its parts. It's like I took a 78 Chevy and I shoved a brand new Pioneer stereo in it with Bluetooth. Well, that's kind of what things have been like, but this is much more automotively integrated components, and I think you'll like that quite a bit. We come here, we have controls for our power shades up front, and then all the rest of the shades in the coach are manual. Our generator start and stop are here. Our control for our heat up in the dash area here is both here and with this switch. And then we can lock and unlock our compartment doors, and this coach does have the 360 camera in it as well. If we go to camera control, where's it at? Cameras. All right, you can see we kind of have a bird's eye view all the way around this camera, and this switch would scroll between different camera angles there. So no excuse to rub this coach on anything the wrong way, like you get too close to a gas pump or something. You should have been looking at your 360 camera because that will save you from that type of thing. Beautiful technology. Both of these seats do rotate around, and they both have recliners built into them. So you're going to be very, very comfortable once you get set up in the RV resort or campground. You have seating for extra people. Now, obviously, this is my favorite way of setting up a coach. We have the two recliners directly across from the television. And one of the things I like about this setup over some of the other setups, the sofa choices that we have tend to be a little deeper when the slides are in. I'm going to show you when we put this coach, when we bring the slides in, I always show the walkway. If you turn these chairs sideways in a particular manner, you can have a really nice walkway through here, and that's big when you're going down the road. So most high-end diesel pushers are built for two people. We all know that. So this one's going to have two perfect recliners directly across from the TV. Where's the TV, you ask? Well, hang on just a second here. Let's bring the TV into play. So we have a Samsung television, 4K smart TV coming up out of there. Above, we have a Bose sound bar. And you talk about good viewing angles. That's always one of my hot buttons, because for years, you know, you would have scenarios where your only TV would be you sit on the couch here and you watch TV up there. Now, we still put a TV there because it is good to have a secondary one, because if you do have guests over and you're trying to watch the football game, if I'm sitting here, you can't see the football game behind me from these recliners. So it is good to have another option up here. But certainly, most of the time, I think most people, it's just two people and, you know, two perfect chairs, perfect viewing angles across from the sofa. This sofa does fold out to sleep two people as well, so this coach will sleep 4 people total. Ventana added for last year the option for heated floor. This is a beautiful ceramic tile floor, and it is heated. So there's 3 zones of heating here, kind of forward, middle, and aft, if you will. And a lot of times people, if it's above 50 degrees, this is the only heat they use. It's perfectly silent, and it's a very comfortable heat. So a lot of times people will heat their coach with this, but even if you don't heat the coach with this, it's nice to have it not ice cold. You know, your tile isn't freezing when you get up in the morning, which is a beautiful thing. All right, up front here, we have some of our main coach controls. These are more of the old school buttons here, and I'll come back to that comment here in a minute. Up top we have our Wi-Fi Ranger. This is our wireless extender, if you will. These antennas here are for picking up devices inside our coach, our phones, our tablets, our laptops, our TVs, whatever, and they talk to the router, and then the router talks to the antenna on the roof. Well, what's the antenna on the roof doing? Well, it's a Wi-Fi booster, and it will extend your ability to get to the campground Wi-Fi. Now, let's be honest, a lot of campground Wi-Fi isn't great. Anybody that has been in a lot of campgrounds will tell you, at best. So if that campground has not invested a tremendous amount of money in their Wi-Fi system, you have another plan you can use. You can add to this. This has cellular LTE capabilities as well, so you can buy a data card from like AT&T, T-Mobile, whatever, and put in there and pay for a data plan and go through your cellular network. So unless you're really remote, you're going to have some access to the internet either via Wi-Fi, via cellular, or this kind of has a setting on it too, once you learn the menus and everything on this, where it can use a combination of both. If you've got spotty Wi-Fi or not great Wi-Fi, you can boost it with cellular, and that helps too. So that's what that is up top. This coach does have an in-motion satellite television dish on it. That can work with either Dish Network or DirecTV. The biggest difference there is with this style dish, if it's Dish Network, you will get it in true high definition. If it's DirecTV, it'll be standard definition. So you have to go to a different dish to get DirecTV in high definition. We can talk about that. Those are some of those questions people often have. This is a digital antenna for the roof. This is going to pick up over the air television. If you're anywhere near a city, you'll get a tremendous amount of stations. I'm about 20 miles from Indianapolis where I live. In my RV, I get 58 channels of television, most of it in perfect high definition from over-the-air TV. Now, a lot of it is not programming I'm going to watch. Certainly there's some infomercial stuff and stuff like that in there, and old westerns and all that. I do watch some of the old westerns, I'm not going to lie. But you'll get all the networks if you're anywhere near a city or anything like that. If you're too remote, you're going to have to rely on a satellite dish or maybe a streaming service of some sort. This is your energy management system that you have here. This energy management system basically tells you two things: what type of power you're plugged into it, number one. Number two, it will also tell us how much power we're using. So that's kind of important, but not so much on here, only because this system manages that for us. So if we're on a 30 amp service, and it will keep us under 30 amps is the whole idea of that, so you're not blowing the circuit breaker out at the post. Best part about this system is you don't have to mess with it much. All right, now I'm going to spend a little time on this one because in a lot of the videos recently I've skipped over it, and I've realized through talking to people lately, sometimes people just don't understand this very well. So let's take a few minutes and talk about this. This is our Oasis system. What is our Oasis system? Well, we'll go over the switches first and then we'll talk about it. There's basically two switches on here. The third one's not used. We have the burner off and on, and we have AC heat, AC1 and AC2. Now, when you see AC in that context, that's not air conditioning, okay? That's alternating current, so household current, if you will. What does this system do? Well, it's our primary heating system for the coach. Now, we have a few ways. There's three ways of heating this coach. We talked about the heated floor. This coach also has three heat pumps on the roof. And third, you have your primary heating system, which is your hydronic system. What is hydronic heating? Well, again, I'm going to give you the 5-minute version of this. We did another video on this. It's actually a video that's been very well received. If you go to our YouTube page, type in Mount Comfort RV hydronic heating, you're going to get an overview of really how the system works, where I show you some components and stuff like that. I'm not going to do that today, but let's talk about the principles of it. So basically, it's a multi-loop system. What is the multi-loop system? Well, there's 3 loops. The first loop is let's call that our heating loop, okay? It's a closed loop, meaning there's no fluid coming out of it at any point. It uses what's called a boiler antifreeze. Boiler antifreeze is a glycol, but it's sealed in this system, so it doesn't come into our water system or anything, and it circulates throughout the coach. Well, where's it circulate to and from? Well, it starts at the boiler, which is the Oasis box in the outside compartment. I'll show you that when we do the outside portion of the walk around. Think of that as your boiler room. Where's it go? Well, it goes to our heat exchangers. What are heat exchangers? Well, Think of a heat exchanger as a baby radiator. Anybody that's a car buff out there, if you've ever seen a heater core out of a car looks like a baby radiator, and it's where your dash heat comes from. Well, take that baby radiator, put 2 little computer fans on the back of it, and what you have then is a heat exchanger, and they hide them in plain sight. There's a heat exchanger right behind there, right here in the kitchen. There's another one. There'll be one back here in the bedroom somewhere. Yeah, right back here next to the bed, there's one. Okay, see that little vent there? There's one in the bathroom, there's one here. We've walked right past them, going through motorhomes lots of times, and you don't even see them, and there's one up under the center console in the dash. So that glycol circulates through there, and then as you call for it, it's controlled by the thermostat, and as you call for heat, when it's on the furnace setting, we'll come back to that as well, but when it's on the furnace setting, you just set it to whatever temperature you want. That system controls the temperature all itself. It circulates that glycol through there. Those little computer fans come on. They blow a nice quiet heat into our house that doesn't dry out the heat like a gas heat does. What heats that glycol? Now, there's the best question. Well, there's 2 ways of heating it. The primary heating system, the 50,000 BTU heating portion of it, is fired by diesel fuel. If it's really cold outside or you're wanting a really hot shower, you're going to use the diesel burner by turning on that top switch that said burner. That's your primary heating system. The lesser is the electric heater coils. And I'm going from memory here, so don't crucify me if I get this wrong. There's AC1 and AC2. Okay, well, you probably didn't hear it, but when I did that, you can tell they draw a lot of power because the generator grunted a little when I did that. That's basically 1 electric heating coil or 2 electric heating coils on there. Even on 2, it's not as much firepower, if you will, as having the diesel burner on. So if you're on a 50 amp service and you're not trying to run the air conditioner, you can run this on AC2. And if it's not too cold outside, you're not using any diesel fuel at all. You're just running off of the campground's electricity. So that's how that portion works. So that's loop 1. Loop 2, let's call that our water loop. Okay, this is not a closed loop, this is an open loop. In other words, water comes in, goes through that Oasis system, gets heated up there, comes out of our faucets or our shower or our washing machine, wherever we're calling for hot water. So that system heats our water on demand. It's not instantaneous. It's just like at home, you turn it on and you wait 10, 15, 20 seconds for the hot water to start coming out. But you're not sitting there, it's efficient because you're not sitting there constantly heating a tank of water that might go unused. I mean, if you leave your camper for the day and leave the water heater on and you've got a tank style water heater, several times during the day, that system kicked on and heated up water that nobody was using. That's obviously not very efficient. This system only heats the water when it's being called for. So that's a very efficient system. So that's the second loop. The third loop's one no one talks about. It actually works, it's a different way of heating that Oasis system. It goes back to the engine. Our engine, our diesel engine that drives us down the road, obviously has a cooling system in it. We've all heard of, antifreeze and radiators and all that. In an engine, we're trying to get rid of heat to keep an engine from overheating. Well, they take that antifreeze off of the engine, they put that third loop in and loop it up through the Oasis system, and that will heat our water and or our coach going down the road without using either electricity or the diesel burner. So how cool of a system is that? That is the Oasis system. I might have gone over 5 minutes. I apologize if I'm boring the heck out of you, but I know that there's people that have questions on that system, and I just wanted to cover it again. Like I said, if you want to get even deeper into the weeds, look up our YouTube video on that. All right, moving on in this compartment up here. This is our little over-the-door awning. These are our main Girard awnings. If it's not too windy outside, I'll demonstrate those. We have our security lights and our exterior step switch that controls whether or not the step comes in and out every time we open the door. And these are our slide-out controls for our front 2 slides. Lastly, over here we have our inverter control panel, which controls our inverter. An inverter takes DC direct current and 12-volt direct current, changes it to 120-volt AC current. That's what runs our residential refrigerator when we're going down the road and stuff like that. That's why we have 8 house batteries on this coach. That control is through here. Also, our auto generator start can be controlled through here, but that's being phased out, and I'll get back to that here in a few minutes. But auto generator start is something where we can start our generator up to keep our batteries from going down when the coach is not in use, or if we're leaving pets in here or something and we want, it's nice in the morning when we leave, but it might get warm in the afternoon, you can turn on your auto generator start and set your AC to 70 degrees, and if it gets above 70 degrees, it's going to kick on the generator so that the air conditioning can run. So pretty cool setup there. All right, so we've covered the recliner chairs that this one was equipped with. It does have a wonderful table in between that has the built-in cup holders. Everything's soft close in here. And a nice deep drawer, great storage there. All of our lighting in here is controlled through the multiplex lighting system. So that's a neat setup because it gives you these little slightly illuminated buttons throughout the coach that even when you first walk in the door, one of my favorite things to do, especially if you walk in one of these coaches at night, you come up the stepwell, you reach right over here, you can turn on the ceiling light, or even better, you can hit the top two buttons at one time and turn on all the ceiling lights. Another thing I like to do is when I'm leaving the coach, I want to make sure all the lights are off. As I'm heading down the stepwell, I reach right over here, and if you hit the bottom two buttons at once, it's going to turn off all of the lighting in the coach. So it gives you great control over the entire coach. You don't have to walk all the way to the back because you left a light on in the rear bathroom. So nice feature there. All right, let's get into the kitchen. Well, real quick, I always like to cover all the storage. So let's do this. This is over the sofa, over the television. On either side, you've got a center cabinet that is your AV cabinet. That's where you put your satellite receiver, your Blu-ray player, whatever. And then on either side of it, you've just got a little extra storage there for whatever your heart desires. Okay, so we did option this Ventana in with the all solid wood package. Probably 95% of motorhomes out there, and a large percentage of diesel pushers as well, do not have all solid hardwood in them. They'll talk about their solid wood doors, and then they don't want to talk about anything else because everything else is a wrapped wood. Hopefully it's a wrapped wood, might be a wrapped particle board. These are questions you should know. All of this, the styles, the trim up top, the crown molding up top, it's all really solid wood, stained and finished in the Newmar plant. So that's why their woodwork is so beautiful. They don't farm it out. It's not wrapped wood. It's real wood by those handy Amish people up in Napanee, Indiana. All right, now we'll get into the kitchen. I love this little cubby up here. All right, 30-inch convection microwave oven from Whirlpool, a name brand, not some brand you've never heard of and you think, boy, is that high end? Well, if it's in an RV and you've never heard of it, rarely is it high end. All right, so as we look here, we have an induction cooktop that is removable. You can take this outside. So if you want to work or do your cooking outside, you certainly can. On the back side of these Corian stove covers, there's actually a cutting board on there. So that's one less thing you have to pack, and that's on the back of both of them. All right, tuck those away. Oh, one of the questions people always ask me is, how much is it? Well, the MSRP is $560,351. All right. The decor in here is Remy on the inside and the outside. That's your color choices on this. And these cabinets are called the Newport Glazed Maple in the high gloss finish. That's kind of new for this year as well. In the Ventana line, you can do high gloss cabinets, and we did. Love the subway tile backsplash. Looks awesome in here with a little bit of indirect lighting there. Just looks great. Look at these drawers. This is huge. Like I said, everything's soft touch, everything's full extension. So 3 big drawers there. And then we're at 1, 2, 3, 4 like this. I'm not going to open them all. This kitchen is what makes this floor plan. The 4328 is a great kitchen floor plan. I love the way, and maybe I'm going to have Troy kind of step back towards the driver's seat a little bit to get a shot of this. But it's a real unique design. Usually everything's on a 90-degree angle in coaches. You know, they're hard turns. They put this on a 45 here. And I'll open the cabinets real quick. Adjustable shelf here, adjustable shelf here. But then when you close it up, you can really see how everything's kind of built on the 45 in this section of the kitchen. It's just a really good look. I'll get out of the way so you can see that. Beautiful kitchen, lots of countertop space. So this part of the kitchen slides in and out. On the left-hand side here, this part is fixed. This coach does have a central vac in it that has 2 options. Either you can hook hoses up to it and the hose is long enough to reach all the way from the front to the back, or you can kick that on with your foot, sweep your dirt in there, and it goes away. Beautiful, especially if you have pet hair. I put one of these in my house for that reason. All right, our dinette in this one. This is our combination buffet dinette. Okay, so this pulls in and out. There's 2 more chairs underneath the bed. We've got a little cubby in here to tuck wires down through. There's a slot for a printer down here and a place for it to plug in. So if you have a home office, this is kind of a perfect little setup. You have a drawer here, actually 3 drawers here, but the bottom one, that's big enough to hold a little file cabinet. So you put your little file rack in there, and that becomes your home office. Now the Ventana is one step down in the Newmar line from the Dutch Star, but it's significantly less expensive. And it's very close to a Dutch Star in a lot of ways. We have a tag axle with a steerable tag. We have a beautiful paint on the outside of this. This actually, they changed some of the things for Newmar on their paint this year. It used to be, well, a couple years ago, Mountain Air on up the line. They got this extra cut and buff that just made all the paint color seams in there just disappear as smooth as glass, and extra shine with this extra cut and buff. And then last year they brought it down to Dutch Star, maybe 2 years ago. And then this year they brought it all the way down to Country Star. So all Newmar diesel pushers, rear engine diesel pushers, they all get this extra cut and buff now. So their paint is absolutely better than ever from Country Star on up. It's always been good. It's always looked good, but on the lower lines, you could still kind of feel when you ran your line over a color seam, you could still kind of feel that difference in the thickness of paint. You can't anymore. They're just wonderful the way they're doing that now. So I mentioned the heated floor. We have a little bit of carpet. If you can live with a little bit of carpet, you can save some money and own a Ventana over a Dutch Star. And like I said, it's turned into a pretty significant chunk of change, and the differences aren't that great. One of the other differences is this, and I'll go over this when we go outside, is this is a rear radiator coach as opposed to a side radiator coach. Certainly a side radiator coach is a little easier to work on. Most people never work on their own diesel pusher, so it's not really their problem. But that is one of the differences. The other one I want to talk about, because this is rated at 400 horsepower and 1,250 foot-pounds of torque. The Dutch Star is rated at 450, but still 1,250 foot-pounds of foot-pounds of torque. It's the same engine. They just have it tuned a little differently. The Ventana weighs a little less than the Dutch Star, so from a power to weight ratio, they're dead on with one another. You shouldn't ever make that 50 horsepower difference for you, because there's really no difference there. All right, let's go with some of our cabinetry on the driver's side here. Let's look at some of our storage options. All of these cabinets that you see here, the bottom, the floor of this cabinet, if you will, is all lined, so stuff doesn't want to slide around, and all of these doors stay up on their own. So you're not the one-armed loader here. All right, let's talk about the new system that's on all Newmar motorhomes. This new system is from KIB, same people that make those light panels I was showing you. This is their new computer-controlled touch panel that's, kind of replaces a lot of those components that you see up on the front panel there. You can do a lot of the things here that you would normally go to that front panel to do. So from the home screen, I can see basically the things I'm going to need to see on a daily basis. Whether or not my water pump is on, whether or not my autofill for filling up my holding tanks before I leave is on, okay? What my battery voltage is, that's very important if you're dry camping. Most importantly, where my holding tanks are. Am I going to need to dump my gray and or black today? But also then right over here, you see some of the common switches you would use. All lights on, all lights off in the living room, bedroom, bathroom, master. It's a beautiful setup, and even the TV lift up and down. So that's 2 places we can control that from right here at this control center. This is the easiest system in the world. I knew how to use it 5 seconds after touching it. So it's all menu based down here at the bottom. What do we want to go to next? AGS, that's auto generator start. So this is where I set up my auto generator start and set the times that it can run or what conditions I want it to run in. Floor heat, okay? Front, middle, and back, high, medium, and low. You can't get much easier than that. Our general HVAC. So down here on this mode button, that's where I control how I'm heating the coach or cooling the coach. I can turn it to cool, I can turn it to heat pump, I can turn it to furnace. In this instance, because it has hydronic heating, furnace would be the Oasis system, the hydronic heating system. And then I up and down my temperature. I mean, it could not be easier, and there's living room, kitchen, bedroom. I mean, come on. My favorite part, it's Bluetooth capable. You download this Connected Solutions app to your phone, and within 100 feet of your coach, you can control your coach. So outside, you want to check on your holding tanks while you're sitting out there and you don't even want to get out of your chair. You don't have to get out of your chair. You can check on it right there. And then our master lighting control, which will break it down room by room in here and give us control over all those lights. Beautiful system. In truth, Newmar's probably been a little behind on this. Newmar doesn't rush to technology. When something new comes out, they'll kind of let other companies work the bugs out of it. KIB is a company they've had a relationship for many, many years. KIB came to them and basically said, how do you want this system to work and what do you want it to look like, and helped them design it, and it's a phenomenal system. Beautiful system. All right, residential refrigerator, Whirlpool. 2 doors up top, drawer style freezer down below. The pink stuff is RV antifreeze, if you're not familiar with that. We're headed into winter here, so we're in the middle of winterizing coaches. Nice Whirlpool fridge. Look at this pantry. Look at this pantry. 6 huge drawers. Pantry and kitchen's what sells this floor plan. It really is. Now this is a 3-slide coach, but it's more square footage than a 4-slide coach, because this is one big slide. This slide goes from the driver's seat to that mirror right there. That's a big slide, so it's actually more square footage than if you had 2 slides there. And then we have the kitchen slide we talked about up front there, and the bed slides. It is a 1.5 bath floor plan, so this is the bathroom we have access to going down the road. I'm gonna let Troy get a shot in there, and then I'll have him back out and I'll open up the storage so you can see that. All right, lots of storage in this one. All right, take a look at that. All right, as we transition back into the bedroom, you do have full privacy right here. So if you're entertaining guests and you don't want them to see in your bedroom, easy enough, shut them out. But as we come back into here, you're going to notice a walk-around king bed, plenty of space around it. Room to get dressed in here is plentiful. If we lift up the bed, there's the two chairs I mentioned. All right. There's power outlets with USBs on either side of the bed and little storage cubbies down there. Okay. There's even a power outlet up here. It's hard to see from where we're at, but trust me, it's there. And there's little places to shove hoses down for a CPAP. So if you have a CPAP machine, you can plug it in up there. It's out of sight, out of mind, but available when you need to use it. These windows on the ends do open on either side of the bed. So if it is a nice night and you want to cross breeze, you can certainly do that. So one of the things I always like to talk about is the way Newmar does their HVAC system in regards to air conditioning specifically. Most coaches, when you walk in them, you can see the air conditioners because their roofs aren't all that thick and the air conditioner actually protrudes into the RV. Well, that does not do that in this case. The roofs are very thick and no part of the air conditioner actually comes into here. Well, that makes it quieter right there. The second thing is, on everybody else's coaches, you can see those round discs in the ceiling, you know, that are where the air comes out, or in some cases where the returns are, but although in some cases only the air conditioner is the return, which that's even more inefficient. Don't get me started. Newmar uses as many output ducts as they do return ducts, so you have a very efficient flow of air and it's quiet. But they hide it from you with these beautiful wood louvers, so it's actually decorative, not some chintzy piece of plastic on the ceiling. So it's quiet. It's efficient. It works just as well with the slides in as when the slides are out. That's why they put the ductwork right down the middle as opposed to spread out by the edges. And it's just a beautiful system. So sometimes I don't talk about that. I should. So now we did. All right, come back into the rear bathroom, the main bathroom. There's another pocket door here to close this off. As we come into here, what we see is a very spacious bathroom. This is one of the bigger bathrooms in the Newmar lineup. Now, dual sinks. Everybody loves the dual sinks, but even better, dual sinks with a lot of Corian space in between. Again, they did the subway tile, looks awesome. And then look at the size of this medicine cabinet. Okay, we have one here. And then there's another one just like it here. So there's his and hers. And then there's another hers right there. All right. Beautiful lighting in here. Awesome. Down below, look at our storage. Okay, I'll do this when it's closer to the camera. There's 2 of these and 4 of these. That's a lot of storage. Now, The part I'm standing on is actually the engine access. So only in the event that they would need to get to the top of the engine, which is pretty darn rare, would they ever need to take that out. But when you see that cut out in the tile, obviously we would rather not have that there, but we have to have access to the engine somehow. So we're standing on it. Huge shower. Not as big as the 4369, but a nice size shower. I'm not going to step all the way in because there's RV antifreeze in there, and then I'll be tracking it all over the place. But nice size shower with a seat. It has the waterfall up top, plus the handheld, and it has the water miser, so you're not wasting any water waiting on anything to warm up. If you're not familiar with that and you do a lot of boondocking, you're going to like that feature. Call me, we'll talk about it. Plenty of room around the toilet. And then we have our emergency egress door behind the toilet. If you're not familiar with that, again, there's a separate video on that. But instead of an emergency egress window where you go out head first and probably don't stick the landing, this is a door that can only be opened from the inside. A telescoping ladder comes out the bottom of the door and you climb down safely. It's a much better setup. All right. Washer dryer, stackable. Everybody loves that. And then let's look at our rear closet here. All right. Troy, I'll let you step up into there, hanging all the way across. And then you have a safe, just big enough for the essentials. And then shelves back there as well for shoes and that type of thing. So that's a little bit about our 4328 Ventana. Now, I know you want to see it with the slides in. I promise that. Let's do that now. Okay, so one of the things I like to do when we do the two recliner chairs, which is my favorite way of doing this floor plan, is to turn them sideways. Sometimes I think people act like it's a bigger deal than it is. I don't think it's that difficult to do. The chairs aren't light because they're good furniture, but they're also not bolted down, and they will slide. So I just grab here, pull it out a little bit, turn it sideways, and then just kind of push it back in with my knee. I want it all the way back against that wall. I'm gonna do the same thing here. Okay, pull it straight out, turn it sideways. I try not to pull it so far it comes off the carpet. It doesn't really hurt anything, but it does make it harder to get back up on there. So now that that's pulled in, let's close the slides and I'll show you how much space we have left. So look at the aisle we have here. You know, I mean, I'm not turning sideways. You do have to walk a little bit, one leg shorter than the other in this scenario, but you're not even turning sideways. That's why one of the reasons I really like, not to mention the comfort of the chairs, it's one of the reasons I really like this setup with the chairs. You can turn around, you walk back here. At no point is this a tight motorhome going down the road. If I want to get into the bathroom, that's why they articulate this door in the middle. It's a straight walk in, plenty of room in there. If I want to get into the refrigerator, it's all easy. I can even get back to the bed, lay on the bed, take a nap while somebody's driving me down the road, which is a beautiful thing. So I would give this like an A as far as the amount of space going down the road. It doesn't get much better than this. Certainly not on a coach that has opposing slides up front. All right, now that we've got the slide outs closed, let's take a look at the outside. Okay, here we are outside of our 2023 Newmar Ventana 4328. Let's get right to it. There's a clear film on the front of all Newmar full paint coaches, which all Newmar coaches are full paint, so didn't really need to say that. But that protective film protects against some of the toxic bugs and stuff, especially down in Florida. Also helps with rock chips and that type of thing, but it keeps your coach beautiful. You can't even really see it. We optioned in this. This is the flagpole holder. There's a little adapter that slides down in here and your flag flies right in here. Whatever flag you want, as long as it's not Purdue. We have side cameras on this coach, as well as backup cameras, as well as 360 cameras. So cameras all over the place. These are for driving. So when you're going down the road, you're going to you're going to change lanes on the interstate. You flip on your signal. It's going to show you what's in your blind spot on that direction that you're going. Beautiful safety feature, not new to the industry, but I think sometimes it doesn't get talked about enough just because it is an awesome feature. The Ventana is the first coach in the Newmar lineup that actually offers the keyless entry, the doorbell, and with that is the power baggage door locks, which is probably my favorite out of those three features. Anybody that's ever gone around and just take your key to, 10 compartments on the outside of this, that gets old real quick. Either by punching in a code, you can lock and unlock those, or there's a button on the inside of the coach as well, but they're power, you'll probably never use your key on them. So that's a beautiful thing. Aluminum wheels, of course, on here, and Michelin rubber all the way around. We can fuel our coach from either side. That's wonderful when you're in that Flying J station and you're not worried about which side of the coach is, which pump is available. Find one with diesel fuel and you can fuel from either side. Now this is a good spot to film. Troy, I want you to film in this compartment, but I'm going to sneak back here. You see this? This is part of Newmar's Star Foundation. A few years ago, Newmar came out with their Star Foundation because on some of their top line coaches, they needed more ability to put more weight on the walls. That's for some of their newer slide systems and stuff like that, but they were having an extreme amount of weight. When you think about these slide rooms, they have refrigerators, they have furniture, they have Corian, solid wood, and they're big slides. It's a lot of weight right out here on the outside wall. Well, you have to be able to support that weight. So also, you want to control your center of gravity and keep the center of gravity as low as possible. When they came out with the Star Foundation, which stands for strong, true, and robust, the thing they did was they put these 45-degree bracings in here that send everything back to the center of the coach. So this weight, there's not really much to support if you go straight down with your support. But when you put it back to the center frame rail of the Freightliner chassis and put that weight going back in that direction, you can hold a tremendous amount of weight. We know that no matter what we do, coaches are going to flex a little bit. We don't want them to, but we know they're going to. That's why you use a flexible grout when you're putting the tile floors in. That's why you let those floors cure overnight on a heated table instead of doing them directly on the floor of the coach and then start putting cabinets an hour later like most manufacturers do. Newmar tries to take into account all the different scenarios that are going to happen, and we know there's going to be a little bit of flex, but we want it to be just that, a little bit of flex and as little as possible. This is exclusively Newmar. The Star Foundation is not found anywhere else. That's exclusively Newmar, and it's a very important thing. This is a raised rail diesel chassis. When you get into some less expensive diesel chassis, your frame rail that's way up high in this compartment here is way down low, so it eliminates virtually any pass-through storage. When you stand back and look, squat down just a little for me. Troy's getting his calisthenics in. You can see all of the pass-through storage that you have here. You know, the Ventana's a coach that people full-time in a lot of times, and if you're going to full-time or maybe even just snowbird, you're going to need storage. Talk to anybody that's doing this. You're going to need every inch of storage you can get, so the raised rail chassis is an important part of that. We put in one tray on this, but it's the big tray. It's the pass-through tray. So this will go out either side, and on this tray you're going to want to keep items on here that aren't real tall because they have to pass under that frame rail you see in there. So your not so tall items go here. You can also see there's an air hose for hooking up front. I'll show you that in a minute. There's a little shepherd's hook here for opening our window awnings that this coach does have, I think, 3 of as we go around. And there's spare tiles in here should you ever drop a skillet and break a tile or something like that. These trays operate very nicely and lock right back into place. On the next 2 compartments back, we did not option in a tray. So your taller items have a place to go. If you put trays in every compartment, which you can do, you lose some height, you lose some ability for taller items. So we think a mixture is the best way to go, but trays can be added. So if you're looking at this coach and thinking, boy, that'd be the perfect coach for me if they put another tray or 2 in, you call the number. We'll get you taken care of. You can see in this compartment where Troy's filming now the central vac. That's where you would change out your bag for that. Now back here we have the Samsung TV on a swing arm, so you can point it whatever direction you want. And again, a Bose sound bar. There's also an outlet in here and USB chargers, so if you want to stash your phone someplace on the outside while you're sitting out here and charge your phone, you can. Up front here, we have a 12-volt port and we have another 120-volt outlet here. If you ever wanted to add that freezer, that outside freezer that you see, like we optioned it in the Dutch Stars, you can add it to this as well. Something I always like to point out, compare this to my competition. Look at the thickness of that floor. Thank you for squatting down like that. You can kind of see that's the thickness of this floor. It's like this thick. It's full of insulation. That is what separates Newmar probably as much as anything from everybody else. Yes, their walls are thicker. Yes, there's more studs in the wall than any other coach out there. Yes, their roof is thicker. So it's going to be a very winter-friendly coach. But other companies do a decent job on some of those areas. But where they all fail is right there on that floor. And this is where your holding tanks are. They're in your basement. You know, if you're getting a lot of cold air in there, pipes are going to freeze, tanks are going to freeze. Not good. So thicker, better insulated floor makes a world of difference. As we look here at this slide out, it's a flush mount slide out. Again, this separates Newmar from just about everybody else out there. Their slide walls fit back into the wall instead of a plastic trim piece hiding all the slop and catching all the wind and dirt and rain and water and yuck. So this is not easy to do. This takes more engineering, but that's why we love Newmar. All right, so if we head up to this compartment, now this is where our holding tanks are. You can't see them, but you'll have to take my word for some things. There's holding tanks behind there. They're right in front of the dually axle, which is where you want the weight to be carried. And on most coaches, this door doesn't even open. Okay, but Newmar said, you know what, there's an extra, I don't know, 5 or 6 inches in there. Let's give them a pegboard. They'll find some pegs to hang in there, and that's extra storage. Again, you'll need every inch. We have our dually axle here. We have our tag axle here. Now the tag axle does have brakes on it, so it's extra braking, but the main thing it does is extra carrying capacity. Newmar coaches consistently have more carrying capacity than their competitors because they're the first ones at different sizes and weights to go to that tag axle and give that to you so that you're not worried about, hey, can I take this with me? Hey, can I take a full tank of water? Don't think about it. You've got the carrying capacity for it. And then also they give you the steerable tag. So steerable tag, what's that mean? Do we have a second steering wheel that the passenger handles? No, that'd probably get a little hairy, especially the way my wife and I get along driving. Nah, that wouldn't go well. It's passively steered. So what that means is it's going to follow along. I always compare it to the front wheels on a grocery cart. When you turn a grocery cart, whether you're pulling it backwards or going forwards, those wheels on the front, they just follow along. That's what that tag axle does. It only works at slow speeds going forwards. It's to prevent tire scrubbing when you're turning a really sharp turn in a parking lot or a gas station. The tires aren't just scooting sideways across the asphalt, but also it tightens up your turning radius a little bit. So that's a beautiful thing. Nice feature for Newmar. You can see right between there, you can see one of the 4 hydraulic stabilizer jacks in there as well. All right, back here, this is our chassis compartment for Freightliner. So our chassis batteries are in here, our disconnect that we would really only use if we're putting the coach in storage and it's not going to be plugged in. And we mentioned that glycol in the Oasis system, that boiler antifreeze. That's where you would check that. In reality, you should probably never have to add to that. Now, when a coach is brand spanking new, might there be an air bubble that burps in it? I've had that before where, hey, it had a little air in the system, it burped and we had to add some. If you see a puddle of boiler antifreeze under your coach, we've got a problem. We need to check that out for you, but that shouldn't happen. So once you've put 1,000 miles on this coach, you really shouldn't be adding to that because it doesn't burn it, it doesn't use it. If it is losing any, we would need to know about that right away, but it's a very reliable system, so I don't think you'll ever have to mess with that. This is that emergency egress door in the bathroom we talked about. Okay. As we come back here, this is a Newmar tag axle Ventana, which means 15,000, not 5, not 10, 15,000 pounds of towing behind it. So a lot of your racers and stuff like that like the Ventana as their motorhome because it'll tow weight that the other coaches won't. 15,000 tow capacity is more than most diesels, so you'll like that. And it has the safe haul feature down here, which is an air chuck on the outside of your coach, so that if you want to hook up an air ride suspension to it for your Toad, a lot of Toads have braking system. Toad's the car you tow behind you. A lot of Toads are using a system called Air Force One nowadays. That's a completely proportional braking system, which just means the harder you press the brake pedal in the coach, the harder the brake pedal on the Toad gets pressed. That's where you hook that system in. So normally that comes as a 2-part kit. When you buy Air Force One, there's the part that goes on the motorhome, there's the part that goes on the Toad. All you have to buy is the part that goes on the Toad because the motorhome already has the system in it. As you can see back here, I mentioned earlier, it's a rear radiator coach, but this is a 400 horsepower engine, 1,250 pound-feet of torque. All right, I'll close this down. You can see this is part of our 360 camera here, and then our backup camera's up top. Now, again, on a lot of coaches, when you open these side compartment, you see the side of the engine. Well, there's not much you can accomplish by seeing the side of the engine. So Newmar, again, looked at and said, hey, there's 10, 12 inches worth of storage we can give them there. So these rear 2 compartments, okay, they are extra storage that a lot of coaches don't have. All diesels today use a product called diesel exhaust fluid, or DEF, D-E-F. That is the tank for that. You use about a gallon of that for every 50 gallons of fuel, and that is where you fill that. Your holding tank, your black tank hose rather, black and gray tank hose goes right here. It has its own compartment, which is great. We have a pull-out hose reel here with a whole house water filtration system. This is a heated compartment. Your water pump is in here. Your low point drains are in here. Your winterization hose is in here. We have hot and cold water to wash up with. We have a black tank rinse. All of the things you need to that have anything to do with water on your coach are pretty much in this one compartment right here. We do have a shore power cord on a reel here. Anybody that's ever wrestled a 50 amp shore power cord knows how much fun that is. So having it on a power reel where you just hit a button and retract it is much better. We also have hookups in here for coaxial. So if a campground that we're staying at has cable, or if we want to use a ground satellite dish, that's where you do it. We also have a built-in surge protector in this coach to protect our electronics. I mentioned earlier the Oasis system, the hydronic heating system, the boiler room. Here it is. That is the boiler room. That can be, as I said, diesel fired or electric fired, either one, but our hot water is heated here. Our glycol for heating, our primary heating system of the coach is in here, all in that compartment. These next two compartments are just storage. You can see kind of the opposite side of the storage we've already seen. Okay, shut these compartments so we can get through. We have 8 house batteries here on a pull-out tray. Makes them very easy to maintain, the water levels and everything of those batteries being on a pull-out tray. I mentioned earlier that the fuel can be filled from either side. There's the driver's side fill. And then this compartment up front, these are Freightliner electronic components and fuses. Newmar does put a little extra block in here in case you need some, you have the spare fuse. And then there's the ripcord up top. Okay, that's not for the parachute that stops you. That's actually for the generator release. And that's going to release your generator door up front, which I already had open. So you have access to your Onan 8 kW diesel generator. You can also see your air horns are in here. We have hookups so that we have air here. We can air up our tires, we can air up our beach toys, whatever. And we have a hot water spigot up here. So that's going to give us hot water up front to get the bugs off the windshield. Now, I'm going to shut this, and I always recommend shut this easy. If you slam this little prop rod comes off and dangles in there, and it makes it really tricky to get open the next time. So nice and easy, doesn't take a lot of effort to get that shut and locked. What I wanted to show you is this guy right here. I forgot to mention it on the inside. So this is your Mobileye, okay? Your Mobileye is a lane departure system. It's just an alert warning. It's not going to straighten the coach. But if you get over the yellow line, it is going to beep at you, and it's even going to send a little vibration to your seat to say, hey, wake up, don't be taking out mailboxes here. So that's built into the coach. It also has warnings built in, like if a pedestrian walks right in front, it'll pick that up and tell you, hey, there's somebody in front of you. But one of my favorite features is it actually picks up the speed limit signs. And it displays them on your digital dash, which I just love. All of the warnings and everything for it are displayed on your digital dash, so it's integrated in to the Freightliner digital dash, which is a really nice, again, automotively integrated system. I like that quite a bit, and I always like the speed limit sign to be right there, so I know how much I'm exceeding it by. All right. Let's show you, it's a nice day. Over the last couple of videos we've done, I've wanted to get the Girard awnings open, and I haven't been able to. Today's a nice day, so let's get those open for you. One of the things I really like about the Girards, not only are they molded into the top so they're a seamless part of the coach, and you don't have all those arms going up and down the coach, which just kind of ugly it up. You also have an LED light all the way across, so nice lighting underneath. But I like the fact that I don't have to stand there with my finger on the button. Once you hold it in for a couple of seconds, you can let go, and the awnings come out, and I can be outside here. There is also a remote control for this, so you don't have to do it inside, but I did it on the inside. These are the upgraded awnings. These are the Novas. Notice they kind of have a bend in the middle. Well, that's just extra shade. If you're facing west, that extra few inches down really makes a big difference as far as giving you some extra shade. But We have, you know, most of the time you have a, I don't know, 15, maybe a 20-foot awning on a coach. This coach is 43 feet long, and I'm telling you, 38 of it is awning. From here to all the way to here is awning. This is where your chairs will be. This is where your grill will be. This is where your friends and family will be, right out here underneath these awnings. Like I said, there's window awnings as well. All right, I think that about wraps it up. Please don't forget to like our video. Please subscribe to our page. Most importantly, ask for me if you have some interest in any of our products. And don't forget to vote on which one of our gas motorhomes we're doing next, and we'll try to get to that next week. Thanks for watching. Chris Anderson, Mount Comfort RV. See you next time.